Hey guys, what's going on? In this video, we wrap up 2 different days of training. We decided to get a little bit of a bigger snapshot of this week and let you guys into a little bit more of the training in one wrap-up video. So yesterday, I came in and did my competition squats, competition bench, and 600 overhead press. And then today was deadlifts, 600 bench press, and 600 Bulgarian split squats, which if you ever want your soul to leave your body, it's a great exercise to prescribe. So yesterday went exceptionally well. I've been having some not great squat days recently, and throughout this training block, it's been kind of touch and go. The week before this week, so last week, I guess, if you wanted to put it simply, I had a really, really rough day squatting, and everything kind of felt sluggish and loose. I got a lot of pain in my hip. Even deadlifts were bugging me last week. Bench went pretty well, but needless to say, this week went much, much better. So I worked up to, I think it was 252.5 kilos this week. So it was a full 5 or 7 kilo jump over last week. It was a full RPE less. I called this week about an 8.5. And I had very, very little, if any, hip pain. So I was extremely happy about how squats went. I feel like the exaggerated eccentrics are starting to have some impact on my competition movement. I can feel myself hit a stopping point much more control. So I'm able to maintain more control throughout the bottom range of motion, where I normally kind of loosen up and use a little bit more stretch reflex. Whereas now with my comp squat, I'm finding a lot more comfort in the bottom position, better able to maintain tension and maintain control through that bottom end of the range of motion. So a couple things I'm seeing, I think anyways, carry over from the eccentric stuff. As well, my competition bench this week went really, really well. I think I was 155 or 157. 155. Competition bench as well went really, really well. Competition bench went really, really well yesterday as well. Why do I want to say well as well? On top of that, competition bench went really, really well yesterday. Worked up to 155 kilos for a nice solid triple. I had Selena calling my pauses again, so I felt really good about the pause length. And again, I've said this, I think, every video so far, but being reactive to the pauses as opposed to trying to come up with my own pause length has been, I think, quite helpful. And then I did my tempo overhead press and worked up to about 60, maybe 65 kilos on that. In any case, 67.5, sorry. In any case, those went really well. And again, just with all the eccentric stuff, I don't know, it's a really good pump. So I really enjoy doing, especially the upper body stuff. You know, filling out some sleeves a little bit better than usual. And what the fuck? What are you shaking your head about?
You're always bashing me for bodybuilding, and now...
Oh my God.
How you love getting a pump?
I love getting a pump because I've already done real lifts. 600 overhead press was awesome. That's progressing, even if slightly week to week, and I'm feeling stronger and stronger there. So again, just a little bit of extra work for the upper body, and I really like the pump, and yeah, that's a lot of fun. So now that we're done with day one, we're gonna get on to question of the day today. And we actually put up a post on YouTube, and this is kind of the first time we've done that. But we have a pretty outstanding response from you guys. I think we have 31 comments on here right now. Lots of really, really good questions. And we will be answering a number of these, I think, over the coming weeks. So thanks to everybody for submitting those. Like I said, there's a ton that we'll discuss. So today we have one from Trevor Hagedorn. And he says, following the injury trend of the last few videos, at what point do you take a step away from training to heal up? And what's the best way to get back into your program without missing a step or feeling behind after doing so? So we've talked a little bit in the last couple videos about some of the ways to maybe skirt around injury or the inevitability of injury, mitigating risk, etc. So, when is it time to actually call it for a bit? So I would say I'm maybe a pretty good example of the stubbornness of your average powerlifter. And I've been kind of trying to battle through this hip pain for a little over 2 years now, with, you know, good days and bad days, a general very, very slow trend of it getting better. I think anyways, maybe I just use that to justify continuing to train. But I feel like if you are dealing with something for months to a year and it's not getting any better and you're not able to work around it, then it's time to take a step back and to severely modify training. I think that at that point, should you make that decision, that you kind of need to commit to that. So it's less about, okay, how do I get back into my program afterwards? But first focusing on finding things that you can do. And that, I think, leads into being more satisfied with, maybe losing a little bit less strength as you kind of work back into things at the tail end of it all. So finding movements that you can do, whether that's, okay, I need to lay off of all lower body exercises, take it as a time to push your bench press. You know, you can take all that extra sort of adaptive energy and all those extra calories and all that extra work capacity and recovery and put it towards your bench press. You know, if you need to drop your lower body work completely out, do so for 3-4 weeks, very, very slowly work it back in, start at 30, 40%, and just a nice linear progression with minimal volume until you get up into sort of the maybe 70 to 80% range, and then start gradually increasing the volume. But I would always err on the side of caution with that kind of stuff. I'm going through this process with a couple of my clients right now, and it seems to have a really, really good, it seems to be working very well. Throughout that process, I find like people are figuring out things about the way that they need to move to stay pain-free. With those lighter weights, you can really adapt and change your technique to try to give yourself some leeway with being able to maintain a pain-free movement. Now, you might not be as strong right away in certain movement patterns. You might lose some strength, but invariably it will come back easier than it was to gain it the first time. That's just in 99% of the cases I've seen, that's how it works. Now, that being said, I am actually looking to do the same thing to myself, with myself, for myself. With the hip not getting as healthy as I would like over these past few years, I think after Classic Worlds, I'm going to take 2 to 3 months, really, really ease back on the lower body training, push my bench press like I kind of recommended or talked about there, and just do very, very minimal work, only pain-free work, and try to allow my body to heal itself. I have yet to, like I've said a few times, I have yet to have any sort of adequate diagnosis. I don't know what's wrong, but I do know that continuing to train hasn't really let it get any better. So at this point, I've changed my squat, I've changed my deadlift, I've changed my movement patterns, I've changed my bracing, I've started working on my feet. I've done pretty much everything I can in terms of making adaptations to how I'm moving to find as much pain-free movement as possible, but nothing's been 100% effective. So if I want to be 100% healthy again, I think the only course of action at this point is to take a step back from stuff. So it will be probably pretty tough for me to do that, but at the same time, I think it's gonna feel really good to put a little bit less stress on myself training-wise. So I guess long story short, to answer your question, when you end up in my situation, it's time to ease off a little bit. When you've tried everything that you can to adapt your movement, to change your movement, played with your volume, played with your frequency, played with your intensity, on and on and on, and it's lasted and persisted and it hasn't really gotten any better, that's when you know it's time to take a step back. And I would start with a really big step back and then try to ease back in. That's sort of a general recommendation. I hope that helps you guys. And let's get on to day 2. Came in today and did my competition deadlifts. I didn't get any pain in my hip this week, or very, very little pain in my hip with my deadlifts. So I was really happy with that. I think it's a little bit of a product of just kind of feeling everything working symmetrically. I have some tension and some tightness through my left IT band here, whether it's my hamstring or what, I don't know. But it is tough for me, and I can really notice it on the eccentric split squats. It's really tough for me to get the same sort of sensation, the same sort of feeling out of both legs, like they're both doing the same work. So I feel like a lot of the times, if I'm asymmetrical, that's when the pain is the worst. So trying to get things to feel like they're working symmetrically and feel like everything is oriented and working similarly from side to side goes a long ways to prevent pain. I was set to do 317.5, but with the ramp ups moving really, really well, I ended up with 320 kilos, or I think that's 705, for a nice smooth triple. First two with straps, switched to hook, took the third one hook, a little bit of a hold, and those all moved really, really well. My back down set at 305, I think it was actually probably the hardest set of the day. I don't know if I just wasn't bracing right or wasn't expecting it to be, you know, a challenging work set. Maybe I had kind of mentally checked out by that point, but that back down set was really tough. My 600 tempo bench press today also went really well, up another 2.5 kilos. My top set was pretty heavy, starting to get to the point with the slow eccentric stuff where the hardest part isn't necessarily keeping it slow on the way down, it's actually pressing it back up after the exaggerated eccentrics. So that's kind of a cool shift. The first few weeks it was really hard to try and keep it slow and steady on the way down. Now that's not a problem. It's actually getting to the point where the weights are heavy enough that it's challenging to push back up. And after my tempo bench, I moved on to the tempo split squats. Trying to push the weight up on these bit by bit. I feel like they have a real strong sort of rehabilitative impact on me. I'm able to, like I talked about in question of the day, trying to feel, or when did I talk about that? Like I talked about earlier in the video anyways, this sort of symmetrical feeling in my legs, quads, glutes, etc. That I feel like when I can get that feeling and get that moving of that efficiency and that symmetry in my main lifts, that's when I feel the least amount of pain. So I feel like the tempo split squats is a really good place to try to work that out and to try to get more quality reps and to try to ingrain good patterns. So I'm really enjoying them despite the fact that I want to die after every set. I think I got up to 70 kilos on those for sets of 4 today, but that's more than enough. That's about it for today, guys. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the video, and we will come at you with some more stuff right away. We got a couple more very exciting announcements, and we should be launching the store finally very soon. But more on that on the Instagram if you guys follow us there, and we'll definitely give you guys a heads up here. Just as one more thing, I will be in Ontario, in Toronto, doing a seminar at Fortis Fitness, the main Fortis, not Fortis West, on April 29th. So if anybody's interested on that, I will be releasing details on here, as well as there will be some stuff about it on Omar's channel, because we're going down there to hang out with him, film some content. All very, very exciting stuff. But yes, come check us out at Fortis on the 29th of April. More details to follow soon. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Thanks to everybody who submitted questions of the day. We'll see you guys very soon.